Hi guys, good afternoon. It's afternoon over here, and today I have the honor and privilege to have with me the country general manager of Hilton in Nigeria. His name is Mr. Etienne Gailliez, and he started his career when he was about 18.
Correct.
And he's been able to grow this far through persistence and hard work and determination. He's pushed through and he's gotten to this level right now. So for me, it's really an honor to have him on my channel. And he's going to give us some tips and tricks on how to grow and build your career, how hard work pays, persistence pays, how you should, put all these things into consideration so that you can become successful in your career. So, Mr. Etienne, thank you for coming to my channel. Do you have any more things?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I look forward. I would never thought that I would be the one speaking to the youth. I still consider myself pretty much part of the youth.
Of course you are.
But it's good sometimes to pass some of the wisdom that we have learned with some hard lessons some days to pass them to the next generation.
Yes, we fully agree. So you guys, don't pause, don't stop, just make sure you keep watching because he has a wealth of information to give to us. Do you have any more things to add to my introduction of you, Mr. Etienne?
No, not really. I'm from Belgium, right?
Yes.
But I've been for the last 17 years across the world.
Yes.
Pursuing this international hotel career.
And he's worked in multiple countries, over 10,
12 countries in total.
12 countries, wow. So I'm going to ask some questions here and he will answer and you guys will learn from it. So my first question for you, Mr. Etienne, is you started working on your career from a really young age, like I mentioned before. So can you please stress the importance of hard work and persistence when it comes to building a successful career? You know how our millennia of today is, we want it now. So can you please throw some light on that?
You're talking about instant gratification.
Yes.
You Google and you get the answer immediately.
Yes,
well,
exactly.
Not going back too much in time on what were the tools we had to learn, but I've always had a passion for hospitality, and more particularly the food and beverage side. So even very young on, my grandfather, my father would educate me on wine, or taking me really to the nice restaurants. Even I would sometimes find it boring, but overall this was really where the passion comes, and that's the first lesson I think that we need to say. It has to be passion, there has to be a drive to it that is bigger than just the number of hours that you put behind a laptop or in an office. And yes, I started my career quite early, and at 18 years old, during my summer period or the summer holidays, I would actually go to Sheraton in Brussels and do night room service waiter.
Wow.
And that was then a very good lesson for me, because obviously you had the discipline of arriving on time, working through your hours. At 7 o'clock in the morning you were relieved to go back home to sleep actually during daytime.
Wow.
And go back in the evening. And I have very fond memories of this, because this was the first encounter. And I met Jesus. Nothing religious. Jesus was actually a Spanish housekeeper that transferred to a room service department.
Okay.
He was, I think, 57 if I remember well, 57 years old, and couldn't read. But at night he has taught me the real basics of what we call mise en place, being prepared for action. Means, for example, the milk pots that I have to serve at 6 o'clock in the morning with the room service breakfast, I had to prepare them at 11 o'clock. Why? Because afterwards the night phone would start ringing and we wouldn't have time to prepare. So he was very organized and very meticulous, and instead of taking it immediately for granted, that's what you have, etc. You had a bit of preparation work, and I think in all our careers you can't just instantly become successful. There is a bit of preparation work you have to do, whether it is learning, whether it is theory, whether it is practice as well. In today's world, where internet at the fingertips, you have the knowledge of the entire planet. Imagine, on a small phone device, you can have the knowledge of virtually the entire scientific planet, recipes to the best cakes, the best food, etc. But the best recipe doesn't make the best cake yet.
True.
The difference is that you have to practice, try.
True.
And as Winston Churchill, and I like to always quote that, success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
Wow.
And this means, and I believe it's a very vital lesson, that if everybody would be successful immediately, then we would be living in a very boring world, because there would nothing excite you of performing, of doing really a good job. And that we have to understand also how that contributes or not to the overall success we have. So it is about passion, it is about really drive of doing the right things all the time, but also starting early, to be honest. And I've studied economics, then I studied the hotel school, and for me it was a very good school, good knowledge, a lot of theory, going into the real world was actually a complete different, really complete different experience, because in the real world you don't have time to do your exams. The exams is every day, every time you meet a guest. So there is this pressure of day to day. Yeah. Sometimes you have to be patient because you're learning, or because you're handling with more senior people. You have a good idea, but then you have a whole framework of people around you, or means and facilities.
True.
And so you really have to be determined to achieve and have that little patience. And always I remember there's no such job, and I think Bill Gates also highlights about flipping burgers. I started my career, I was carrying trays at night and clearing them from the floors, picking up the room service orders,
wow.
right, and then preparing them, because at 6 o'clock in the morning I would have to deliver 180 breakfasts in approximately 1.5 hours.
Wow.
And if I'm not organized and ready, it would not happen, and then they will say, oh, I could blame it on not enough manpower or not enough tools, etc. But we are very organized, and that's something that in today's world, where everything can be ordered immediately, we forget a little bit the planning side. And same as you have the planning of the job, you also have the planning of your career. So if you know where you really aim to, yeah, then you have to understand that there is a bit of a build-up to it. And so you might start with smaller jobs, and I don't think there is actually something like the smaller jobs. But you might start from, you know, the beginning of the ladder and then climb up the levels. And I think today people study for general manager, but guess what? You start as a room service waiter.
Yes.
And then eventually you're lucky, and then you make it to a supervisory level. And then from there you aspire to do more than one outlet, and that's how you grow. Actually, that's how I grew my career.
True.
I changed hotels, so I had to put myself a little bit at risk sometimes. I think that's also something that in today's world. And then one of the questions that you asked me over the phone, and that's it.
Yes.
Was, would you do things differently? But also, you know, when did you take risk? And I think growing. None of the big people that we're looking at, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Steve Jobs, you know, all these really charismatic leaders, none of them started by saying, I have a silver spoon, let me put it in my mouth, and things have happened, right?
True.
None of it happened by Googling. They all started and put themselves at risk, and serious risk by putting their financial means to it, risk by starting something from scratch. If you look at it, Steve Jobs or even Bill Gates and all the rest of it, all these technology companies that are now the highest capitalization on the stock market, all of them started actually some 30 or 40 years ago from basically their parents' garage.
Yes.
Yeah, so it didn't start with a BMW and a laptop and an iPhone. It started actually from having a great idea, determination, having to do some sacrifices on your day-to-day living, and move on. I didn't start from my parents' garage, unfortunately, but somehow, when I was 25, I had to take a serious challenge. I was in Belgium, I was having a good career. Belgium is not that big, and so there's not that many opportunities in terms of hotels. If I want to pursue an international career, then I had to put myself at risk by basically saying, look, now I need to actually go outside the Belgian borders and venture. And that happened at the exact time that I met my wife also. So I met her, and 2 months later I decided actually now I need to go abroad. Wow. I don't believe in long distance relationships, so I had to marry her the year after we married, and since then we are living happily. But it was a lot of challenges, and then you have the first children arriving. So do we stay in a country? Do we move? So a lot of it is taking risk, including sometimes to leave the company you're familiar with and moving into a new venture. When I was in Abu Dhabi, I was promoted to regional director of food and beverage for Hilton. Wow. And I decided to have a bit of a taste of what it would be like to be on the owner side. So I was hired by a company that was actually taking care of all the assets of His Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed. Wow. And that's how suddenly I discovered a brand new world, because as an operator, yes, I would always ask my owners to invest and do things. Once you're the owner, you're looking at it in a very different way, and you make your investment assessments very different.
Wow. And
so from a risk taking there as well, sometimes, you know, calculated risk, is it worth the investment or not? And it was good for me to be sitting on the other side as an owner then, or as an owner representative, and challenge myself. Reason why also Hilton likes to put me in challenges, because I left that job then to go and do Seychelles Island, where you have a property in the middle of nowhere. And then they asked you to turn this into a 5-star resort. So that was really a nice challenge also.
And you were able to do it anyways?
Well, I hope so, because now they have very good salt ratings, etc. My only, where I was not lucky is that I only stayed 18 months there, and then I had to move on. And they asked me to come here to Abuja, where I think it's actually a fantastic location in terms of learning, in terms of learning to work with human beings. And behind our smartphones, behind our tablets and instant Google access, we sometimes forget that problems are not being solved by emails or by Google. Problems are actually solved by humans, by the interaction you have, by the drive you have, by how you can depict a vision. And that's very important, that you have a vision about your career, a vision about your enterprise, where do you want to go and how do I contribute. So nothing lands automatically on your desk, nothing except problems, I believe. Nothing gets solved by itself unless you have an action. And don't believe that because you have a diploma, that's the entry level you have. Yes, we all study, you can study chemistry. Doesn't mean therefore that you're going to be a CEO of the biggest chemical company. You might by starting by producing something, doing something, and then climbing up the ladder. And my best advice also, listen to the elder. Now they always talk their romantic stories of the past was better and things, etc. But also they have a lot of wisdom how you do things, and sometimes they have also a lot of little tricks on how to do it faster and in an easier way that you would find. But overall, I think the future is in front of us. Imagine, never have you had that much knowledge, never have you had that much speed of travel to go around. But as I like to tell to my colleagues here, you know, sleeping next to the stock pot and hoping that the chicken jumps into it is most likely not going to happen. So there's a bit of hunting, there's a bit of putting yourself at risk. And I don't believe in something that is like an automatic reward. Rewards come because of hard work, because you put yourself at risk, or because you can depict a vision and you really have that engagement of your fellow teammates to follow that vision.
That's so interesting. Thank you so much, Etienne. I feel like we've learned so much, and I'm struggling to think of what else to ask you. So you've mentioned, let me summarize some of the things you said. We need to take risks to grow a successful career. We need to be able to step out of our comfort zone as well.
Definitely.
And we need to be able to sacrifice, do the hard work, go down and be ready to do the dirty business.
And if success would come instantly and without failure, then everybody would be successful and would have a very boring world.
True.
Yeah, so there's some excitement to it, and that's a passion that you have to time and again do it better, do it more. And I think that's where it becomes really interesting, right? When you work or when you develop. In today's world, it has never been as easy as it is today to start your own company. It has never been as easy to be creative, and then you have tools helping you, you have investments, you have even this participative investments, so you can raise funds in different ways. Yeah, but it all starts with an entrepreneur mindset, and that's really where it's different. And something that I'm studying now, that's one thing I would change. I would study much earlier in my career. Again, going back to school, be it now that you have virtual classrooms, so I can do an English MBA all the way from, I wouldn't say the comfort, but all the way from Nigeria. And I think that's something very important that you need to really aspire to, is to develop. The world is changing so fast. You can't be just relying on, I've done studies 10 years ago and so I'm still relevant. You have to remain relevant. And I think the entrepreneurs of today, they're going to shape a very different world. Also, that's part of a bit of the gratification, is not anymore everything for me, what's in it for me, but you have to take as what they refer to as a triple bottom line. And so this means you have to take about profit, because without profit, there's no reason of having a company. You also take care of your people and the planet. So just consuming and selling and being a tradesman is not enough. We need to take care of ourselves, we need to take care of the people around us that share the vision. Right, and that's a vital lesson for the future, because you see that although poverty has gone backwards according to the UN reports, the discrepancies between the very rich and the less rich, or between some countries, is not helping for the moment. And that's something that the youth has a vital role to play in not expecting, but also being ready to give and engage.
Wow. Thank you so much, Etienne.
Welcome.
So that's it, guys. I'm sure you guys have learned so much. You probably have to go back, rewind, get your pens out and take some notes, because this is a wealth of wisdom. So that's it for this video, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, click the red button down below so you can always get notified anytime I post. Until my next video, I'm NdatseNdomo on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Love you guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
Bye, Ndatse. Good luck.
Thank you.
I didn't wanna fall, but you gathered my attention, it was all for you. So don't take advantage, don't leave my heart damaged to understand.